Welcome to the VRCade Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Is Andy from VRScapism. And also with me we have Mr. Chun, who is the operations manager over at VRilliant. Now, if you're new here, this is a podcast by arcades for arcades where we bring in guests from all over the VR arcade industry and to sit down, have an interview, have a chat, and find out about the day-to-day running of their business and just the kind of struggles they have and what works for them. So, how are you, Mr. Andy?
Hi, I'm good. Hoping that this will give me a little bit of a boost on the old bookings on the side. It's always, you always have to find like bookings from everywhere. So hopefully this will get some people's eyes open of what I can offer in Surrey and London.
Yeah.
Or further afield if you want to pay the money. So I will go wherever for money.
We'll get into that. We've got lots of questions for you to go through and find out a bit more about how you ran your business and how it started. And I think Chun's going to be doing most of the questions today. Yes, Mr. Chun?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I think so. But you two guys know each other, so I think that there will be some interesting conversations. So you can just chime in and just ask the questions as well, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we could go through how I met Andy. It was basically to test out. I've never been to a virtual reality arcade before, and I needed to see what the experience was like. And the games I was looking for were in London, but each game was at a different location. And then I found Andy on Google, and it was like, "Oh, I'll come to your house," and he's only literally down the road from me. So he showed up one day once I booked it in, and we tried out lots of different games, and got a feel of the VR arcade, experience is. So yeah, it was really cool. Thank you for that, Andy.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because generally, you're going to get what you are on offer, and generally the games that are on offer are limited because they don't want to have everything possible under the sun.
Yeah.
For people. Plus the fact that I can come to your house and set up, as long as there's space. Obviously, that's the main consideration, because you don't want to be hitting yourself against walls or TVs or things like that. So there's got to be space. It's I can offer generally any of the games that you can get on most of the arcade solutions. Synthesis VR is the solution that I use. And luckily, you guys provide good games for them. So, and it's some of the games that I do offer my customers when I'm out and about.
Yes, because I mean, how many games do you actually offer then?
It will vary. It's about 20 odd, but what I normally do is I gravitate to the games that I know for a fact work and are good, and will be able to be picked up and used very, very quickly. That's the main thing that I'm looking for, is quick, easy to pick up and to actually use and play. Is the main side aspects, because you don't want to have a long turnaround, especially if you've got a small group of 4 kids or adults playing, and book you for the entire period, which is I book for 2-hour sessions in effect. You can rotate through games. If a game is half an hour long, then you'll rotate through a game for half an hour, and then you choose something else. So 4 games, 5 games is maximum you're going to play. If you've got a group of kids or a party of kids, 8, 10, 12 kids, you've got to rotate each of the groups through. Not everyone wants to play. Some people get seasick. That's the standard problem with VR, right? Because you can get the seasickness, VR sickness type problems. So some people don't want to play again. They'll try it, not interested. But you've got to, again, at that point, you want the same game rotated through very, very quickly.
Yeah.
That's the 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on your group that you've got.
And what licensing platforms do you use?
So I'm 100% on Synthesis VR, which is it's a very good platform. The main reason I chose them over other competitors is they actually have an API that you could actually use. So my website, I'm an IT person by profession, so I built my own website and stuff on the back of that, and I use their APIs in effect to allow me to do bookings and to pull information from the site for my site in effect.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, that's the main advantage. It had an API, which the other ones didn't.
Ah, okay. And well, speaking of Synthesis, we actually have bought out our new game. It's on Synthesis at the moment. It's called Plush Rush, and you can do a 10-day free trial on Synthesis, and it will be out on other platforms around mid-November. So yeah, if you're on Arcade, you can go check out our new game as well. Have you checked it out yet, Andy?
Unfortunately, I haven't. With the day-to-day running of my life,
Yeah.
and then you're actually trying. What you're trying to do when you're actually going out to a customer is making sure that everything's updated, so all the software's updated and deployed out onto the servers.
Yeah.
And your headsets are up to date. Windows is up to date. Synthesis VR is up to date. Steam is up to date. And
Yeah.
you've got to have all that up to date first, and then you then say, okay, so let me see if I can try some new games. So, for example, you've got Plush Rush, which has come through at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Another game that's come, obviously, is a new propagation game from Synthesis as well. That's coming out as well. So what I'll probably do is at some point on a weekend is to set up, have a try of the games, and then probably do some recording myself and actually get some, like advertising videos out for myself as well. I did promise you guys that I would do that with Rotten Apple. I still haven't got it done it yet, so I will do that as well at some point.
Go on, John.
Great. Sure. Yeah, but I wanted to know, I'm pretty sure all the people that are listening want to know, is how did this idea of a mobile VR arcade come to life? So how did you start off, and why a mobile arcade instead of a just stationary one?
Right. So originally, I was always into technology, always have been. And one of the things that came out a few years ago, VR headsets. They were in existence at the time, but the actual when the Quest 1 came out and the Quest 2 came out and the Index came out, I thought, okay, I'm going to splash out. I'm going to buy myself a VR headset. And I thought, this is amazing. This is an amazing product. It's an amazing way of playing games. It's immersive. There's no other way of actually getting into a game if it's a good game, of course, and actually playing inside a game than through VR. I'm probably speaking to the convert, right? Because this is about VR arcades, right? So everyone knows it's a brilliant way of playing games. So I was at work one day, and I talked to my boss. Said, "Well, I'm going to bring my Index in because I've got a gaming laptop. I'll bring the Index in. I'll let a few people play, in the office. So just try it out on the office. How easy is it to set up? How easy to turn people around? To get people to play. Can I convince people to play who've never ever played it before? So yeah, I just set up in a corner on a Thursday night. Had some people coming around, people screaming, and stuff like that when they're getting attacked and stuff like this. And it was an eye opener. I thought, right, I really want to do this as a side business, right? So not as my main. Well, actually, I was looking at it as my main job, but then when I went through the calculations and stuff, it's not that easy to actually fund something like Navtar or the what was the one in Wembley? I can't remember the name of. That's really good. One of the other franchises, you need money, right? So you need at least 100, maybe £200,000, right, just for the franchise. And then you've got to pay for the rental of an office space. Most of the games are free roaming, so you need quite a big space. So you're already looking at rental prices of £1,000, £2,000 a month, depending on where you are. So you've got to bring in that amount of money to actually offset running the hardware, running the store, advertising on the back of that, staff on the back of that. So the costs were just mounting up. I've got spreadsheets that I went through all of it, and I thought I can actually make money but it'll be a lot of work, and you're not going to be making money at the beginning of the cycle, because obviously then you've got to get word of mouth, you've got to have people coming in, you've got the competition of stationary VR arcades, which are already there. So I thought, how can I roll out something that I want to do, evangelize about VR, which is another thing, side of the things that I want to do. I want to evangelize about VR. How can I do that in a way where it's not just a headset that I've given to someone? I'll say, here you go, I have the headset on my laptop. Here you go, that's what, no, you can do that. You can do that at home. That's nothing different. How can you make it a step above? So having 4 headsets, which is what I offer. So 4 headsets. I stream from 4 gaming servers in a rack that I push around in one of those, like flat cases. So that's how I move everything around. I run everything through Wi-Fi 6 routers and through a switch. So, and then I connect up through to the internet through a mobile 4G network, or if I can, I borrowed someone else's broadband connection if it's got a good broadband connection. So it's cheaper. There was an outlay, of course, because I need to buy all the hardware, I need to buy computers, I need to buy headsets and things like that. But in the scheme of things, where comparison to a franchise and actually setting up an entire arcade, it was a lot cheaper to set up. And my only cost now is the subscription fees for the games and the subscription fees for the synthesis as well, and accountants. Obviously, you got to pay your taxes, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think around 20k is how you can actually, the amount of money you need to spend to set up everything in effect.
And when did you set your business up? How long have you been running for?
I've been running for 2 years, but really 1 year is where I've been actually getting a lot of bookings and stuff. It took me a while to get set up and get running and to get bookings. Before that, it was very sparse.
Yeah. Okay. And what changed? Do you know what changed? Was it like more word of mouth, or did you do like advertising campaigns, or?
I think it was just advertising campaigns.
Yeah.
What I originally was trying to do, and Google, I think is helped out as well. The spending money on the advertising, yes, that's the only way you really can actually get money back. You get your bookings. I don't know what really changed, because it's definitely a lot higher than I had before.
Mm-hmm.
I did start doing slightly more stuff on social media. So, for example, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Threads now as well. So, I have been doing more regular posts. I know they're repetitive. If anyone's actually following me on those social media channels, you'll see the same adverts come through every so often. But I think that does help as well, because it's just people seeing the thing over and over again might actually just trigger them when they're actually thinking of booking a party.
Yeah.
That I'm available as an option.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
In the mind of the people.
Sorry, John?
Staying in the mind of the people, right? It's really important that you're always present somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little ping here, little ping there. Just here you go. I am about still in Surrey and London and the southeast and the whole of England, if you want to pay.
Yeah, because what it is like people need to see something X amount of times before it triggers in their mind, basically. So yeah, you just have to keep at it. And one more question before I pass it on to Chun. Do you see like seasonal kind of trends? Like, is it quite seasonal, or is it the past year that you've been a bit more busy? Is it just being like consistent, or is it like seasonal?
It felt like it started off in spring and it looped around to now, so it's tailing off at the moment. So it felt like the spring and summer was a lot higher than the winter period, which was even though I've only been, I said, running for 2 years, I've only had one real Christmas period or winter period. So it felt like it was spiked in the summertime. I'm hoping that I can get some bookings over the Christmas period, but then you're competing with Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And you're competing with Halloween at this period now, bonfire night for us over here, and then there's a lull, and you got Easter, so and the weather's not very nice. People don't want to go out, so maybe who knows? Maybe because people don't want to go out, maybe I'll have more bookings. Let me see.
Okay, yeah. Over to you, Mr. Chan.
Yeah, sure. We slightly touched on the topic of the hardware, and I'm wondering what kind of VR headsets do you use, and do you also have some additional gear? I think battery life would be especially one topic that you need to take care of. So, do you have some, head straps that you can just have swappable batteries, and stuff like that?
No, I wish. I wish. It's very hard to actually get decent accessories for the headset that I have. So I use Pico Neo 3s,
Yeah.
Pros, the Pros, not the Link ones. Mainly because they are. When I did a comparison between the Quest and the Picos, because I've got a Quest 2 myself right at home, because you have to try some other devices sometimes, right? And even though I've got the Elite strap with the battery on the back, it still feels really front heavy, the Quest. So the Pico Neo 3 Pros, got to remember the Pro, are very well balanced. And they've also got neoprene built onto the actual, the headset. So it's very, very quick and easy to clean. I mean, you just wipe it down with antibacterial wipes, and then the next set of people can use it. So the handsets themselves have got batteries in them, so you just replace the batteries out. The headset, even though, say for example, I run a 2-hour session generally. Over a 2-hour session, when everyone's continuously playing, the headsets will run out of charge. So what I normally do is I have a small, like the little battery packs that you can get for phones. I've got some of those that I've preloaded, pre-charged up, and at any pause, I would actually put one of those onto the headset to like give it a bit of a trickle charge.
Yeah.
Or I would hook up the actual the cable into it. So, for example, if there's a bit of a lull, they're going off to have cake or whatever, or have a bit of pizza, I'd be plugging in the headset as quickly as possible to try to charge it. I have so 2 hours max, full on running continuously. You're going to be pushing it, so you've got to have some form of other battery backup or cable backup to actually allow power to charge up the batteries for the Pico Neo 3s Pros.
Okay.
Any headset that's got you've got a removable battery would be great. I think the only ones that I've seen is the Focus, right? But so the computers themselves, I said they're gaming servers in effect in a rack. So we're running 3080s in a rack. It's a few years old now, but 3080, I think it's going to be perfectly reasonable for a fair bit of time. They are loud. That's the other thing, because they're in a rack. They are gaming servers, right? So they have got the gaming. They've got rack mounted fans in them, so they make a bit of a racket. So it's not something that you want to be having in your house if you want to use them normally.
Yeah, which we did, right?
Yeah. So and they get hot as well, right? Because they're pumping out all that heat out of the back of the four servers. So as I said, my original concept was to be running on the internet through gaming servers in the cloud. But again, that would have saved money, but you were 100% reliant on the fact that you've got poor internet connections generally when you're moving around in a mobile arcade, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know where you're going to be. You don't know what the connections are going to be. If you're lucky, you get a good one. If you're not lucky, you're putting your router right next to the window, hoping that you actually get a signal. Or I've run it off. Some of the sessions I've run off my phone on a 5G connection, because I couldn't get a 4G connection through my provider that I have. So you're taking your chances with having everything remote at the moment. Maybe in a few years' time, I think that might be a solution going forward. Or if the headsets become so powerful that you can run, games for multiple players all at the same time in the same location, and they all run off the headsets, then that'll be the real game changer for something like a mobile arcade, because then it'll be perfect. Then you just have to take the headsets around, maybe something to control it through, but the headsets will be the main power of the actual games going forward.
Yeah. Maybe like Starlink, the satellite internet kind of stuff,
I've actually had the pleasure of using Starlink recently, because I was at someone's venue, someone's house, sorry, and they wanted me to do it in their barbecue gazebo thing at the back of their house in the garden, and they didn't have internet there. And I said, well, I need an internet connection. They said, what he was actually his company provides Starlink.
Oh, nice.
And so he had a Starlink satellite dish on the top of this gazebo thing, and I was running off the Starlink, and it was absolutely perfect connection. I'm not joking. I had no drops whatsoever from the internet. I had other problems, but that's a different issue totally. Nothing to do with the internet at that point.
Yeah, I hope he got his business card.
I have, yeah. He also runs. He also is. I think he works at. Not works. He's a rugby person as well. So he's a local rugby club. That's my side business. You see, this is the thing, right? I'm always looking to say, give him a voucher. 10% off if you book, type of thing. Yeah. So who knows? Starlink itself is would be another expense.
Yeah.
I think it's not cheap.
I don't think it would be. No.
No, it's five. I think he said it was £500 odd just to buy the hardware, and then you're paying a subscription on top of that.
Yeah.
It may have changed, but that's what he was saying to me. He didn't have to pay.
Yeah. Mr. John?
Sure. With all the issues that you now mentioned, would you recommend for anyone to also start a mobile VR arcade, or do you think that it's a little bit too early, and maybe just start out with a stationary one to get experience, and you can still change to a mobile one later on?
Well, I don't think it's a really bad idea to do, especially in the area where I live and work. I don't want any other mobile providers coming up and doing the business, right? Because I just want me to be the only person in the area. So it's a very bad idea to do any mobile VR arcade in Surrey and London, right? You can do it elsewhere, it's not a problem. Wales, go for it. But yes, is it the vagaries that you have of mobile is that you don't know what you're going to be having when you get there, right? So you don't know if there's going to be enough space. You don't know if there's going to be a decent internet connection. You've got the problems with things like Steam crashing on you. A lot of the games, if a node goes, if a game goes down and you've got 4 people playing, you can't just turn it back on again and reboot into it, because not a lot of games actually have that the way of actually just joining into a thing that's already running. And the hardware itself it's heavy when you've got the gaming servers in the rack. You've got to have a vehicle to transport it around in. So I've luckily, well, in a roundabout way, I have a vehicle that I can use, right, to be able to move this equipment about. If you don't have the vehicle, you have to buy that as well. But for the price, you can start doing something, right? So I'm competing against companies that just send out headsets, in effect, to other people. So you can just rent this. You can rent the headset. You can rent a laptop to go with it. So that's the type of competition I have. You've got the standard stationary venue-based VR arcades, Navtar, DNA VR, the one in Wembley, which I can't remember the name of, and then you've got or down in Wandsworth as well, Gravity, and then you've got some of those actually do provide an outreach solution as well. And again, it's just a lot of companies is just the headset, and it's you are then only playing the mobile VR game rather than a PC VR game. If you think about just using the headsets and maybe controlling it, just the mobile one, then it is an option. I went for the slightly more difficult option of going actually PC VR and streaming it. So you could go down for the slightly cheaper option, which is headsets, a gaming laptop, and then controlling everything through the gaming laptop and a router, and that would be it. So that would be a cheaper option for you to actually start in this type of business, but not in Surrey or London. Go somewhere else. And then for the headsets, you've got the problem with the Meta headsets are that they are a bit you don't know whether you can trust them for the business side of things, because in theory you're not allowed to use them for business, but a lot of people do. And then you've got the Pico 4s, which I believe are a very good headset, but they're a generation behind now of the Meta Quest 3s that have just come out. Same pancake lenses, but different. The chipset is slightly newer.
Do you see yourself upgrading or anything? Like, have you looked into it?
I have. I am interested in upgrading to the Pico 5s when they come out. So what I want to do is like for like. I have heard rumors of the Pico 5 coming out. No, that wasn't a rumor. That was actually a post by Pico. I think they're coming out sometime next year, November time. So there's a bit of time to wait for that. I do have to offload a load of Pico Neo 3s. What I'm going to do with those, right? Because they are business things. So business headsets. I don't know what the market would be like for those type of things. I just saw someone actually trying to sell a load on one of the guys I know is going to be selling off a load of Pico Neo 3s soon. So I think people are already starting to move off to the newer versions of the devices, especially the Pico 4s, right? Because the 4s are very good. I said pancake lenses, similar headset design, slightly lighter. It's to me, if I was going to be starting up, it'd be no brainer go to Pico 4s at the moment.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
And I've not tried the HTCs as well, so the Focus. So I've got
Focus
no idea
3,
what it'd be like. Yeah.
And you haven't tried the Quest 3 yet, have you? You said.
No. I've got a Quest 2, which is I've totally. It's a Frankenstein headset now. So I've got a load of like the headsets that you have for the Index, because I've got Index as well. Obviously, you have to have an Index. Everyone has one. No. So the over-ear headphones. I saw something on Kickstarter for over-ear headphones for the Quest. And I've got those on there, but it's making it really heavy now. So it's even heavier than it was before. So it is. The sound is great, but it's slightly heavier now on the headset. But,
yeah. Like I said, you can always. You're not far from me. You can come around and just try out the Quest 3. See what you think.
Cool. I think I'll take you up on that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want one of those T-shirts in exchange.
Honestly, I've got loads of other T-shirts. If you go to the shop, T-shirts, mugs. I should. I was always thinking that maybe I should buy them for when someone's hiring me. I just have a T-shirt and just give one T-shirt away as well. That's the chance away to get a bit more T-shirts spread around.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Okay. After Serge is getting bribed, I should get back on topic. So let's talk about the games. You offer room scale as well as free roam games. Is that correct?
I do. Generally, it's for most of the places that I've actually been, it's room scale. So standing rather than free roam. So standing in I would call, it's always the thing, it's room scale pod. rather than just standing in a you can't move type thing, or sitting down you can't move. So it's 1.5 meters, 2 meter square in effect is the thing per player. Some of the games I do offer are free roam as well, but those are, even with the setup that we have with Synthesis, and even with the setup that you get with Pico Neo 3s, and actually being able to share maps between headsets, the overhead of setting up a free roam when you're actually moving around, you can turn up to a house, you've got to say, like, this room is not big enough. I need a minimum for most of the free roam games is 5 meter to 6 meters by 6 meters, which is a big space. And if you're in someone's house, not many people have a house that have got a 6 meter by 6 meter room that is empty with nothing in it. In fact, no one I've been to has actually had a room that size. Even when I went to a board gaming, like, not conference, because it wasn't a conference, it was like a camping thing. That it was actually a festival of board games. And I down in Surrey, and it was I set up in a little scout hut, and I thought, first time ever I'm going to be able to set up a free, and even that was too small. And I was thinking, Jesus, there's nowhere that I could find that was actually going to be able to. And you have, for that type of thing, free roam, you need a set location, which is a shame, because I think free roam games, there's a few that are on offer on Synthesis that would be really good to play, like interacting with other players. I always worry about people hitting. It's bad enough when they're actually in their own room scale in a pod area, because they always wander out of the areas, always. You're always dragging them back into the middle of the actual area so they don't hit each other. But yeah, how they would be when they're all running around. I always luckily I've got insurance, because you have to. But I don't want to be able to see someone running into each other in the middle of a game. That's one of those nightmare situations.
I'm sure that's happened to Chan before. Sorry.
Yeah, I've had I went to an event that I was in London in a hotel, and I was set up, and they were playing like not Beat Saber, but one of the rhythm games. Well, Rhythmatic, right? So Rhythmatic 2 they were playing. And I had two people, and I was looking at one person, and the other person was wandering further and further forward, and I kept pulling them back, and they kept, every single time they were like, like you do when you with sabers, right? You move, and she was moving forward again, and I turned back, looked at what this other person was doing, because I was going to help her because she wasn't doing that well. So I went to talk to her, and I looked back, and she went woof straight onto a table that was outside of the zone. I don't know how she did it. She hit the table. The controller went all over the floor, and it was like, that's the first person, and that was an adult. So I've been so many kids in kids parties, and I was thinking, this is going to get wrecked. They're going to drop it. They're going to do something with it. I've got backups at home, but 4 headsets, 4 sets of controllers. I don't carry spare controllers. I think maybe I should, but that was it. And the controller went smash. And it was like, look at, I was only playing like 2 players at a time because there's not enough room. But yeah, that was the first time I've actually had a disaster where one of the actual controllers was smashed. And that's the problem with the Pico Neo 3s Pros, is there's not much extra stuff that you can buy for them.
Yeah.
So there's no like extra head straps that I've found. No extra controllers. Even buying controllers, had to buy some controllers from the States on the cheap that were, because I couldn't buy them over here. And that's the problem with using a smaller provider of hardware, for example.
Yes. Yeah, I have a question from VR US Escape Reality, which I believe is an arcade in the United States. Just a quick, what is your opinion between Pico and Vive Focus 3 when it relates to the free roam games?
What you mean for the mapping? So it's actually easy. I don't know what the Vive Focus mapping is like. It's relatively easy on the Pico, because all you have to do is copy the map file across to the different headsets inside the Neos. There is a bit of vagary that you have to do. You have to be in a specific spot when you're actually doing it, so you don't when you start them up, they're all not in the middle of the square area. Synthesis have got actually they've built the software to actually do that for you. So that's the main thing with the thing, it's built in, so you can actually then share maps across the different headsets. So yeah, scale wise, I think they go up to 10 meters from what I remember. But yeah, I've not tried on the Focus, so I've got no idea on the Focus how easy it is to set up.
Okay.
When I have set
Yeah,
it
maybe
up,
I can.
yes, when I have set up the free roam stuff at home, when I've practicing, it's pretty easy once you know how.
Yeah, for the Focus 3, it's pretty similar as well. You can just map it with one headset and then share it to the others as well. So
Yeah,
that
I think
works with
it
their
sounds very,
software
very similar.
and web browser. The only thing that I think is a big advantage is that, with the Focus Freeze, if you step out of boundary, the pass-through cameras get activated.
Yeah.
And then the people know for sure that you're outside of the play zone. And then things like, smashing the controller on the table is less likely. Of course, you can never say that it's not going to happen, but I think it's less likely. And I think that's a big advantage when you go for, free roam games in general, or also just using a headset with pass-through cameras.
Yeah. So that's the great thing about the Pico, even the Pico Neo 3. When you go out the zone, it automatically goes into pass through, right? So, that separation makes you feel a slightly bit more comfortable when you've got four people and when you're by yourself, you're trying to make sure that one, they don't hit each other. And there's no problems. They don't drop the controllers. They know how to play the game. It's all different things that you're trying to do when you're actually by yourself as a one-man band, as Serge suggested right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So that's to save money, by the way. That's this. I'm from Yorkshire, and everything's about money for me. So I'm as stingy as I can be. My wife would disagree with me, but for this type of stuff,
Yeah.
I could hire other people, but maybe when I'm bigger.
Do you encounter any wireless issues when you're using the Pico?
I had originally, so my original setup, I was using the out-of-the-box streaming solution for connecting the Pico headsets to the PCs. It wasn't original software wasn't designed. So the one that you get out the head for the residential user, right, is not designed to have more than one headset on a Wi-Fi network. So what would happen is on the network, it would roam across the 4 different headsets, and you would be lucky to actually get your PC and headset synced together easily. And sometimes it would just drop out, it would crash, whatever. It was a nightmare to set up. Once it's connected up and streaming, the streaming was very good. I did recently, thank you to Pico and the business guys at Pico, I did actually get hold of a different set of streaming software from Pico, which I don't know if it's under NDA or not. Oops. But they've got business software that actually allows you that is designed for specifically having more than one headset on a Wi-Fi network. It is a joy to use. You just set the machine up, set the headset up, it connects up. When it's been there before, it'll connect up directly again. So it will remember the fact that as long as you've set up the network for your PCs correctly with IPs, it will always reconnect to the same PC every single time. And the streaming quality is I found is as good as virtual desktop.
Oh, really?
For that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So latency, setting up the actual with connecting up to Steam, everything was fine. for like business software. So it's the business streaming software. You've got to go up on their website. There is business streaming software that you can actually download. That's the one that you need to use, not the standard one out of the box that you get.
Right. Okay. What?
We have
Sorry.
Do we have other questions from the viewers?
No. Thank you very much. VRUS said thanks. That's very helpful.
Very good.
My pleasure.
Sorry,
Always.
I was just interrupting you, sir. You were just going about the topic, so yeah, just go
on. Yeah. So, what kind of radius do you and what's the furthest you travel? Then, do you have a limit, or is it like they have to cover your fuel, or is it like hotel and have you ever done that kind of setup or?
No. I've never had to do overnight type journeys. For the right price, I would not be conducive to that type of suggestion. Obviously, I have a family here as well, so this is the thing: is me going gallivanting off to somewhere for a day of VR playing. Obviously, the cost then increase, right?
Sure.
For that person, or for that organization, whatever the concept would be. The furthest I've traveled is down to Hastings area. So that's from here. It was a 2-hour drive in effect.
Mm-hmm.
And that was up for the board game festival.
Right. Yeah.
So that was probably the furthest I've traveled so far. Again, sometimes you're going into London, it takes 2 hours anyway, right? So I'm saying my region that I cover is within about 2 hours is the standard price. I would go anything beyond that, I would have to negotiate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And a couple more questions before you wrap up. Someone just quickly asked, what are you thinking will benefit you on the Pico 5? Like for like upgrade wise, is that something you're looking to do? Move to the Pico 5?
I am considering the 5 mainly because the hopefully I'm hoping a lighter headset, more stable streaming. Maybe the option is with more games coming out, maybe that they would be on headset type games, which is again when you're looking at games and what a lot of commentary about the Meta 3, right, is the games are still rubbish, the quality of the graphics is rubbish, but they've got a really powerful headset now. Because you're talking about games that have already been developed years ago and you're just porting across a Quest 2 game or Quest 1 game to a Quest 3, right? The graphics quality isn't going to improve. You're going to get more stable and it's going to run better and it won't be running so hot. But hopefully, over time that those things, I think the pancake lenses would be might be a bit better because the 3s have got the I can never say the word.
Fresnel?
Yeah.
Fresnel lenses.
Fresnel.
Yeah.
Fresnel lenses, which you still do get a bit of God raying in there. But yeah, so that's my lighter, better streaming, I hope, as well, because that's the other advantage that you get, right? When it's decoding on the headset, you get even better pictures. But as I said, I don't really notice that much between. That's because I've got an Index, I've got Quest 2, I've got the Picos, and obviously the better the headset, the best headset is the Quest. Not the Quest, the Index, right, for the quality of the actual image. But that has Fresnel lenses in it as well. You do get God rays.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay. One last question: what are your plans for the future for world domination?
World domination. Well, that'll be an interesting one if I could get that. I have to have a think about how I could maybe. Again, it's the concept of the franchise. Always, everything ends up being franchise, right?
Yeah.
But I'd possibly, if I was going to go franchise, I've seen someone offering 4 headset sets in a carry case,
right,
with gaming laptop as a rental solution, which is probably someone out on the internet here as well. But then you're not. That is just, here you go. You can have those 4 headsets for a month, and we'll charge for the rental of the headset. Games, everything else is then not something. It's not an arcade at that point. You're not running a party for that person.
Yes.
They're just rented 4 headsets. But yeah, so maybe that might be an option. If it doesn't go well, it'll be someone can have 4 gaming rack gaming server in a flight case, and I'll sell it all. Hopefully not in the near future, but you never know.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions, Chan?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. So nothing from my side.
Okay. Well, Andy.
If we have any,
yeah.
So just one thing, if we've got any game developers and stuff like this is the thing, right? So I've talked to Serge when I was around his house about when you're in an arcade, on a mobile arcade, having something go down and then being able to rejoin the game. Once, if you've got 4 players playing and one of those games goes down, it spoils the experience for all 4 players, because they all have to then stop and restart. If you are building games and you are actually building multiplayer games that you're going to be able to use, have the option, because Steam can crash, right? It's not the perfect solution, right? So Steam could crash. If Steam crashes on that one server, all 4 players are then not going to be enjoying that game, and you've got to kick them out and restart the game. Which some people are right with that, but it's just a pain.
Yeah.
Please get have some way of actually rejoining that game server so you can actually carry on with the experience, because that's few and far between. And if you can, it makes my life a lot easier, especially when I've been in places where you have power cuts or whatever, anything that can happen, right? In those things, when you can actually rejoin a game after it's gone down, that makes my life a lot easier going forward.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the things that we are also looking for. I mean, Rotten Apple has that you can just join in after a few minutes still. 10-15 minutes should be no issue, and I'm pretty sure that will be also the case for Plush Rush. So we will also look out for such things, and we know it as well because we have our own arcades and we have our own issues with Steam VR or with power outage or whatnot. So yeah, I hope other developers also hear this and will also try to do it as best as they can.
Yeah, cool.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Andy, for coming on, and it's been really great insight into the mobile VR arcade industry. It's a totally different perspective that you have compared to like a business that actually has a premises. So thank you very much for taking the time out. And like I said, you can come around, try the Quest 3 out anytime you like.
Cool.
And if anybody wants to check out Andy's website, it's basically linked in the description as well. He's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Threads. So in the description, go give him a follow and show your support for your local VR arcades. And also,
yes. And thanks for inviting us. Again, I'm using it as an experience as well. So it's please, if you have any questions, please do talk to us. Again, all the information that we pass around between ourselves, it's all useful, right?
Definitely, yeah. And yeah, if you want to try out Plush Rush, it's actually it's in synthesis at the moment, and there is a trial on there as well. Or if you want to try the game out beforehand, just get in contact with us in the VRilliant Discord, which is linked down below. Thank you very much again, Andy. Thank you, Mr. Chan, and thank you everyone for joining. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.